Howdy all, Nursedude here, and I threw up a poll the other day and I got some feedback on what you guys might want to see, and so we're going to do a breakdown of my rifle here today. Um, a little philosophy as far as what I like to think about rifles is that I only do one rifle, and this is partly due to a practicality, pragmatism reason of that I only want to spend money on one rifle, but also in the sense of that um, you never know what scenario and or environment and or um, quite frankly action you may be in, and so I try to tailor a primary that allows me the most flexibility I can manage within a reasonable setup. That being said, I don't have a huge LPVO on here. I don't like the 1 to 10s. The 1 to 5, the 1 to 8 has been really good. It allows me more flexibility. I have a red dot on top, which allows me not only for a quick engagement if I had to, transitioning back and forth, but also allows me for night vision. And the trade off in weight and height over bore is worth it for me. But primarily daytime optic would be my LPVO. I have, yes, I know, backup sights on here. Even though that the mount is bolted and torqued on, I do also carry a Leatherman, and if I had to, where this was damaged, I could easily unscrew this with a Leatherman or with another type of flathead to be able to pop this off if I had to, and then throw it in a bag or backpack and or ditch it if I needed to because it was that damaged. And then I have a set of backup sights with my rear and then my leaf up front. I don't know if you can quite see that there. So my leaf up front. Um, all in all, that's kind of how I think about it as far as having a all around as best as I can do. We'll do the obligatory YouTube clear because why not, even though that I don't know why you wouldn't use a cleared rifle on a tabletop anyways. So going from the butt to the front, we'll kind of go down what I have and what I like. I have a Magpul stock. I think it's the SLS. It is the battery compartment version, which we've already done a video about and talked about. I have CR123s. I think I have 3 of those and 2 AA's with my anti-rattle in it, so you can barely hear it rattle. You can hear the spring more than anything. The buffer tube is one of the nicer Arrow ones. I think it's like their enhanced one that has a little cup at the bottom so that way you get more thread engagement. I really like it. I originally had a V7 one that I had used for a number of years. It was perfectly fine. I just wanted something different. Standard castle nut, and then I have a QDN plate. I think it's from Faro. Yeah, it is. So it's a rebranded Faro one. And I staked it, I don't know if you guys can see, really well this time. That is a very nice stake. I have forward controls, forward assist. The forward assist is, I know, vestigial, but it's there. They also have their, I think it's their 63 style pins that have the little detent to be able to push a tip in to be able to pop it out. And this upper and lowers match is so nice that you really need to be able to push it through. I have a custom stippled Bravo company stock. I like the little bit thicker grips, not stock grips. It just fits my hand better. I also have then a customed Magwell setup with my trigger guard. I like to shave the little bit end of the trigger guard so that way you can rock magazines a little bit better. I just get out a X-Acto, scrape it off a little bit, and then I polish it down with some sandpaper. The trigger is a Wilson Combat. I think it's their single stage LEML style trigger. I think it's like 4-ish pounds or so. I do not like 2 stages at all. Never been a fan of it. My long gun has a single stage. This has a single stage. I do not like dual stages. Have a couple other things. I believe this is a Strike Industries anti-walk pins. They're there for kind of aesthetics. I have an OG Knights Armament selector. Evidently, these are really rare and really expensive now. I wanted to put another one on there on a different rifle. I found they're like $200 now. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. I think it's a V7 for the magazine release button. I do not do a ambi magazine release just because I find it kind of gets in the way. Reaching up with your left hand and pushing it is perfectly fine for me, as I am right-handed for shooting for rifle, but I am left-eye dominant, so whatever which way I grab the rifle half the time is the end up way of shooting it. I also run a Phase 5 bad lever. I like these because they're a little bit sturdier than a regular Magpul one. It has one less point of failure due to the screw, and I know they're, now again obsolete because of all the other stuff, but this one, unlike some of the receiver mounted ones that are up here, I think like the Militia Works one, I can lock the bolt to the rear with this one, where I do not believe you can with the Militia Works one, so that one's kind of handy. Also, it's a nice big flappy paddle I can whack with both hands, which is really nice. The bolt is a Centurion Arms bolt. I'll pop the dust cover here really quick. Centurion Arms bolt, and then I don't know if you guys can see down there, I have a nickel boron from WMD. Both the gas key and the bolt are from them, and the firing pin. I have had zero issues with them. All their tolerances have been fantastic. I've had zero wear on them. I've measured the protrusion for the firing pin, the different various features on the bolt. I've also done for gas key. It's nice and square. I've had zero problems with them. I know the School of American Rifle came out with a very controversial video lately. I've had some opinions about it that I posted, but I like the nickel boron so far. I have a Magpul dust cover because I do. The optic setup here, we'll do that next since we're going down the line. Oh, and I have a carbine buffer in here and carbine spring, just your standard weight one, and that is because the barrel has a .074 gas port, I believe, and it works out like perfectly. So optic, I have a Badger 1.7 on it, and that is because I am a taller person. I'm over 6 feet, and I find craning my neck down to be able to get to a standard 1.5 slightly awkward, so the 1.7 I think really works out. And it is not the best for prone, but it's way better than some of the higher stuff, and I will fully admit that. Primary arms, Peel XC 1-8. I absolutely love this scope so far. It is phenomenal. The eye box at 1x is great. The image is fantastic. It's a little tight at 8x, but it's nothing that you can't overcome. And quite frankly, I find myself shooting it at 6 more often and then using 8 for like observation and PID. And that's kind of how I wind up using it. It has a piggyback 509T. I remembered that this time. And it's set up for night vision as far as how I kind of arrange it with the piggyback on top, the 12 o'clock. I tend to cant my rifle a little bit to the left as I shoot, and with being left eye dominant, I have my night vision on my left eye predominantly. This falls into view perfectly, and it is like cheating. If you've never tried it, I highly recommend it. The torqued all these down. I of course have my witness marks on it and everything. The rear sight post is a nice armament one. It's a, what is it, the 2-600. Yeah, it works. Charging handle, excuse me, is a Radian Raptor, the suppressor one. The going down the line, barrel is a Centurion Arms lightweight hammer forged, which is a 13.9 that has been pin and welded with the OSS flash hider down here. I do also have a blast deflector for it that I use in the meantime while my can is in jail. The barrel so far has been fantastic. The bore on it is absolutely immaculate. The crown is fantastic. I really like this barrel so far, and I think it's a good balance between weight and also accuracy and overall length. I very much like it. It also has the notched, I don't know if you guys can see it down there, but it has a notched and then pinned gas block, which is really slick. I can link you guys the post to it. It is just awesome. It's just no fuss with having to align the gas block and everything. It's there. It's perfect. The gas tube, Not that it really makes that much difference, but it is an arrow. A interesting point with the Aero gas tubes versus other brands is that the Aero gas tube is shipped in a box as opposed to just a bag. I have found that every single one of my Aero gas tubes has been absolutely straight as an arrow, and some other very premium makers of gas tubes, one that is a gas tube that is made of Inconel, was a boomerang because they do not put them in boxes and they get damaged while shipping. It's kind of funny how like a 2-cent box makes all the difference, and I've never had one for the arrows that was not perfectly straight and you line it up perfect inside, because sometimes you'll kind of feel the carrier drag as it hits the gas tube and pushes it into place, which ultimately isn't that big of a deal, but over time it could potentially cause wear. The arrows have been perfect so far. It has the Axon from Unity. We've already talked about that. I really like that switch. It does its job very well. I have a Surefire Scout dual fuel that I only use CR123s in it, and I got the dual fuel just so that way I have a backup Malkoff head if I want to run it as a different type of head. I don't know the name of I don't know the nomenclature for this click, but it's the combo clicky and also the tape input. I like having that redundancy, even though that it may seem silly. I like having it. Also, going down the line, I have my DULD2. I have an interesting theory about civilian lasers that I want to talk about later, but I need to find somebody with a full power that I can borrow to be able to test said theory. Yeah, it might be an interesting video. 100 Concepts light cap on it. I think this one's an Arasaka light bar on it. I have it back down. I have it mounted back a little bit further than I like right now, and the reason being is because this flash hider works well enough to where it blows the cap off if it's too close. I just get the slightest bit of shadow, but it's not really that big of a deal. Once I do get the can, I'm going to mount this a lot forward so I have less shadow. But kind of a point to note that if you do end up mounting stuff close to your muzzle device, it very well could blow it off. So take what you will with that one. OSS/Huxworks flash hider, which is pin and welded, and then my sling is a T-Rex Arms one. They're pretty lightweight and durable so far. I like it. I've not had a problem over complaints with it. And then obviously the various different Reese wraps as we go down the line. Magwell, the brass deflector. I know you won't be able to see how much I shoot. The 509, the D-wall, and the scope, the 100 concept caps are all meant for ones. And then I used the spares/leftovers of all the different things and kind of smattered it around to kind of jazz up the rifle. I think it turned out pretty cool. It's a little bit different, adds a little bit different kind of look to it. Oh, and the rail, BCM rail. It's close as you can get to a Knight's armament that's not a Knight's armament, and believe it or not, I actually like this better than the Knight's one. I have a URX 4 that I used for the longest time. I like these better. I know that's blasphemous for my other Knight's armaments fans, but I think this is a far better design. I do not like the dingle style of clamps. I think that's a super lazy and cheaply thought out solution to it. I think what is it, the Alpha, I don't remember the mount style, maybe it's Bravo mount. Well, anyways, this style of mount I think is very effective and it works really well, and I have utmost confidence in it of not flexing it unless you're obviously stupid with it, which anything, if you're stupid with it, you can break it. So that's kind of the rundown of the rifle. It's a heavy girl. All said together, I think it's 10 pounds, but that's with a magazine and also with batteries. So, and the D2, which is really heavy, but the performance on it is totally worth it. But I think I get a lot of capability comparatively, and also from a supported prone position, I do get less recoil due to the weight. I know everyone says that, oh yeah, I know it's a heavy rifle, they're going to be carrying it around, but I will not be carrying it around in the ready position or shouldered all the time. It will most likely be slung the majority of the time. Yes, it gets tired holding it, but at the same time, I mean, take what you will. I'll take the capability of an LPVO and a laser module with the piggyback and the added weight all day long. That makes sense to me. Having a bipod, on the other hand, no, that does not make sense to me because you do not get the return capability for the usage for it when you can easily learn how to support yourself in a prone supported position and or unsupported position, and the effective engagement range of this, you'll get just about the same results. Now, if it was a different rifle, if I had an 18-inch rifle, that might change. I would probably lose laser aiming module, and I'd probably lose the piggyback in favor of a larger scope. So it's really what you want to be able to do with it. Like I said, I do a one rifle setup, so I have a lot jam-packed into the rifle, and so far I've really enjoyed having the upgrade with the various quality of life things, such as the nice light, the nice laser aiming module, and the scope was a huge upgrade from my old one that I had, that I believe Fresh Prince has right now, that he might be doing a review on soon. I was a holdover on getting a new one for a very, very long time, and I'm really glad I waited because I really like this scope. So there you go. There's the main squeeze and how it breaks down. Talk to you guys later.